Hi friends, and welcome into my home. Our home here at Mark's Minis, where I have leveraged the power of artificial intelligence to bring you my next speed paint project. I grilled and sparred with ChatGPT for over an hour to develop the brightest and most vivid paint scheme possible for a Space Marine. The AI told me that the human eye is most sensitive to light near the wavelength of 555 nanometers. And together with the AI, we developed a paint scheme that reflects the most light at that wavelength. And not only that, at the end of the video, I have a special surprise. I took the extra steps to scan the model into Tabletop Simulator. It's a fascinating project and you won't want to miss any of it. So let's dive in right now. Hi friends, and we're going to try something different today. We're going to watch the video live with you in real time, and I'll walk you through this interesting project because it's ChatGPT that came up with this paint scheme. So we figured out that the wavelength is 555 nanometers, and to hit that color we're going to use a bright lime green ink from Liquitex, and it's going straight over a zenithal. And most of you are familiar with zenithal. It is spraying white from above, and mine came out pretty rough this time. A lot of us in this country are experiencing a heat wave, which is also dry, and I did not compensate for that. So live and learn. I apologize for my rough appearance of my zenithal, but we're going to soldier on and proceed with the details painting. Now, Chatbot suggested I paint the gun silver to reflect more light, but you know, mostly the guns are black. So instead of a pure black, which I prefer to avoid, we went with a very, very dark blue. Comes across as black, but reflects a little more light. And this is like, you know, paint by numbers. We're sort of painting a three-dimensional coloring book here. Modified slap chop method here. So it's fast. It's not going to win us any prizes, especially with my rough appearance of my zenithal. You know, the green ink went down super smooth right over it, but no, I got to fix that zenithal next time for sure. Live and learn. We're going to soldier forward, and we're going to hit these vents, thin down paint a little bit to get into the vents. So yeah, had a lot of fun with this project. It was very interesting going back and forth with the chatbot to figure out the brightest, most vivid paint scheme I could accomplish. Yeah, here's a close-up of that rough zenithal. It's very easy to see with this high clarity, high magnification camera that I've got. Really happy with the new camera. Catching details like this, working the black into the mechanism of the jetpack. Later I go back and hit that with a little bit of silver. So now we're going to hit the major silver points. Getting this silver bits on the gun. It's a base coat. We're gonna hit it again with some dry brushing, and it comes across as a pretty good looking gun. And pretty fast. Yes, gotta have a little bit of brush control to hit these details, but you know, most of us use a magnifier or some sort of visual aid to get into these small details. If you can get down to this level of detail, you can do a fast slap chop and get a pretty good result in a short time. We're always looking for shortcuts to get that sweet spot between quality and time. Yeah, and this is where I get all the fun. I get all the fun assembling, painting the miniature. That is my main joy. It's secondary making video, but I definitely enjoy the craft of making the video too. A lot of work. So we have a good looking gun. It's a good starting point for a gun. And now we're gonna continue dry brushing some silver here. And you can see I kind of botched a little bit on those parts that are on his belly. They're very small and they are mostly concealed by his arm and the gun he's carrying. And we're going to hit him with the oil wash later. The magic of oil wash is coming up. And oil wash, a lot of experts agree, it's like magic. A great tool to have in your toolkit. And these brushes from Amazon, cheap makeup brushes, $8 set. This one has an angled tip. The bristles seem indestructible and they're really soft and really fine. They're awesome for dry brushing, and this one brush that comes with the set has a lot of utility for just either small detailed dry brushing or regular brushing. Great utility. Link down below. So silver underneath what's going to be gold on top of that gold eagle. It's going to be gold eagle. The silver underneath hopefully reflect more light, get it brighter. And here I'm going for the grill, that facial grill. I'm going to come back later and highlight that face mask as best I can. Now we want a nice bright undercoat for the speed paint, hardened leather. It is by far the best speed paint for these small leather pouches and holsters and bags. Just undercoat them. I'm using an off-white this time, and the speed paint's got to do a wonderful job. Looks like leather, but a single application over this undercoat. Even master level artists in our space use hardened leather speed paint for small bags and pouches. Now here comes the gold over the eagle. I'm really enjoying the high magnification and clarity of this new camera. You get to see all my mistakes in high def. But we're on a learning journey together, my friends. I'm just a novice here. I'm just learning this together with you. We're on this journey together. I learned a lot from this project, and the next one's going to be better. Teaser, we're going to try some freehand on the next project. We're always looking for that next challenge to try to stretch ourselves, improve our skill set. So at this point we can glue the arm back on. I was actually pretty lucky. The prior attachment was a bit loose and I wiggled the arm off so we could paint underneath it. And now that's done, the arm can go back on. You have to love Tamiya extra thin liquid cement. I will assemble every model before I do the painting video. I love assembly now. It's a joy thanks to that Tamiya extra thin liquid cement. Link down below. Now here comes the hardened leather speed paint, and it's going over this off-white undercoat that we put down. We're not spending a lot of time. We're just trying to be neat, trying to be as careful as we can. If you think of it as a coloring book, you don't want to go over the lines. You just want to hit that bag. And if a little bit goes between the objects, it's not so bad. It's shading between two objects that are close together. That you can get away with. So I thought that green strap would be okay, letting it remain as green. I might have had to paint it a different color if I made a mistake over it, because it would not have been easy to clean up. So I had to be really neat for that little green strap there. Yeah, speed paint, hardened leather, great application, great target. Now look at this little bubble here. This is interesting. See, you've got this little bubble here, and I'm completely unconcerned with it, because for the most part, using speed paints, when you get those little bubbles, they will pop by themselves, and it just did. See, it popped by itself, and there it was. And then all you get is a little bit of extra shading in that area, a little bit of pooling, and it's going to look like natural leather when it's dried. So no problem with the small bubbles. They just pop themselves. You can overcoat once it's dry. There's no more reactivation. Now for the back of the model, there's not a lot of light that I wanted to have him charging into this yellow light, and like he's charging to an explosion or fire or something. And that is not present on the back of the model. So I'm just going to dry brush silver. My thought was any wear and tear that might have removed green paint would show silver underneath. So that's just my take, and it is fast and it looks okay. It looks like the jetpack is used and worn somewhat along with the armor, and you know, I just don't have the skill to really or the patience to go through and highlight each edge individually. I'm going to catch a few of them, but I really rely on dry brushing to catch those high edges. And having the right dry brush for that job really helps. So as you can see, I'm dry brushing silver over the gun, and it looks a lot more realistic in just a few seconds. Good looking gun with that final touch. A little more silver here and there. The chatbot suggested I do these ridges with warm yellow, and I took the brighter warm yellow that I had, which is from Pro Acryl. Now it might look like a Salamander's chapter paint job, but I couldn't go with that because their pauldrons are black, their shoulder armor are black, and that would absorb too much light. We wouldn't get the brightest, most vivid paint scheme. So the chatbot said, nope, lime green on the shoulder pads. Now I'm going to put some decals down. Looking forward to putting down some decals. Decals are so much fun, and of course those big shoulder armor pads are great targets for decals. And the chatbot recommended a couple different colors for decals to make sure that they're brightest and the most vivid, and I went with red. And some of them are white. Yes, those ridges around the armor are a fairly significant, fairly major detail of this piece, and the pros go around and they do shading on the edge of it, and they highlight each edge, inside edge, outside edge. I just can't do that, at least not yet. I'm gonna have to rely on process to get us a good looking armor. Don't have so much skill there. Now it's time to paint the purity seal. I'm going to start with a undercoat of off-white, and then I'm going to give it my best go here, but pretty weak attempt, but at least there's something there. If you've got a purity seal in front of you, at least make the attempt. Try to put some text there. It's sort of a rite of passage. They'll get better. You know, you can buy purity seals in full size, 1:1 scale. They're available as Warhammer 40K gifts of sorts. And when you see how much detail and how much text are on those things, yeah, you're going to understand. You're not going to be painting a scale purity seal anytime soon. So I think in the future I'm going to go with a watercolor approach on this, and we're going to have more fun with watercolors in the future. Along with oil washes, watercolors are another powerful tool for your tool set. Now I thought this speed paint would do good for the wax blob that is supposed to be sticking the purity seal onto the armor. Not really happy with that, but it's a very small detail. Didn't want to stress on it. Time to move on. Now we're getting to the oil wash. Really interesting. All right. This is just a high quality black oil paint. And why is it high quality? Why does it cost more? Because the pigment is very finely ground. If you look closely, you'll have to do your own zooming here. I didn't bother to zoom in on it. Very fine, tiny black particles for pigment here. That is better for oil washing and shading, which is what we're about to do. So just a couple of drops of mineral spirit. A little goes a long way. And you can see how the oil wash just jumps into the gaps, jumps into the fissures, jumps into the crevices, jumps into the recesses, and it flows along them. The result would be even more dramatic if I had done a smoother undercoat. Look how it jumps into those panel lines and fill those panel lines. In the future, we're going to be doing vehicles, and oil washes will fill the panel lines in vehicles, and it works with other colors than just black. I'm very excited to show you more tricks with oil washes in the future. Look how it just jumps around the details of that helmet. That's just amazing to me. If I had just had a smoother undercoat, that would be amazing. We're gonna do better in the future, I promise. See, it's giving me something of a dirty effect. I'm actually gonna overpaint that somewhat to clean that up a bit. Again, that's the result of my rough undercoat. Now this was a mistake here. I wanted to protect and prepare some surfaces for decals, but I used a gloss varnish. And that was a mistake because in later steps, I want to scan this model into Tabletop Simulator, and the scanning procedure does not like glossy surfaces. Matte varnish would have done fine. We're going to do better on the scanning going forward. But for now, the gloss varnish provided a nice smooth surface to apply the decal onto. And these are the two chemicals that you need for really excellent decal application: Microsol and Microset. And just follow the directions. The decal will look painted on. It is just nearly dissolved and made thinner, bonded to the surface so tightly it looks like it's painted on. When you get the hang of it, you're going to have so much fun with decals. I love decals now. This stuff makes them fun. Microsol and Microset, link down below. Just follow the directions. It's just a breeze. You see, and you need it too, because that knee pad is highly curved and the decal does not want to sit on that flat, but after it gets dissolved slightly with the Microsol, it does, and it just looks great. Perfectly tight bonded decal. Love it. Decals montage. Gotta have fun with decals. More decals. All right, now I'm gonna actually go in and try to manually highlight a few leading edges, high edges. It's on the helmet. It was kind of hard to avoid. I'm doing my best. I definitely prefer not to manually highlight edges. All right, now it's time to get the model back onto the base. I think in retrospect, I should have done this whole project with the model on the base, but here we are. And now I've got to match the color of the shoe. Don't spend too much time on shoes. Don't spend too much time on feet. But I have to match it at least a little bit, get that lime green on there. So lime green on the shoe, and then I'm going to add a stripe of black to help me basically merge it to the base so it's not so obvious. There's the little stripe of black going on. And finally, a little bit of dirty down rust. Great stuff, everyone's using it. Link down below. Great stuff. You are going to love dirty down. Anything you want to be rusty is rusty. And now I am super excited to show you my setup for scanning my painted miniatures into Tabletop Simulator. After my camera upgrade, the chatbot quickly reminded me that this camera would be excellent for this purpose. So I quickly cobbled together the simple turntable from foam, paper, wood, tape, and a nail. I marked off the foam circle in 25 increments and used the camera's phone app to quickly take the 50 images needed for processing into a 3D model. This was my first attempt with this setup, and the results are promising. As I mentioned before, this photographic process does not like glossy finishes. In this case, the resulting dents in the mesh are minor, and as you can see, if I mess with it enough, I can fix it if needed. So how bitchin' is that?
I have no idea.
Oh, come on! You don't see that from other creators in my space. A finished painted model next to its 3D model, ready to start your own custom factions in Tabletop Simulator. And this is just the beginning. Hit like and subscribe so you don't miss anything on this amazing journey through our hobby, okay? Bye!
Bye.